Hey all you beautiful people, I am coming to you from my kitchen, and please don't mind the paint on my cabinets. We were actually trying to find a color that would work for what we wanted, and none of the samples are working, and you can tell too. We tried a sample here on this wall. We finally did decide on a paint for inside the house, but honestly, since we moved here, most of the work that we've done has been outside, getting the homestead things ready, so the house looks a little rough, which is part of the reason why I don't do a lot of videos in here, because, you know, it's like not pretty right now, but this is real life. I'm sorry, you get what you get. Like, I'm actually going to do a little Mr. Rogers here and take off my sweater because it's a little warmer in the house now. But it's a little chilly today. We're actually supposed to get our first frost tonight. So in preparation for that, I actually went out and ripped out all my tomatoes. So if you can see here on my counter, please don't mind the egg cartons. Like, I have a ton of eggs that I get. I have egg customers who always leave me their cartons, and I just reuse them until they fall apart, and then I compost them. So I'm actually really trying to like limit the amount of waste that we're having, and also like reuse it as much as possible. And our customers love helping me out with that. So that's one of the things that I've been doing, and that's why I have a giant stack of them here. So I wanted to show you guys what I got. Like, you see all these tomatoes here. This is not even it, guys. Like, hang on a second. Brace yourselves. This basket is full to the brim. This probably weighs like at least 40 pounds. I mean, it's ridiculously heavy. You think all that is it though? No, because guess what? I still have all that's in there. And actually all of these were in here too, but I just moved them out to try to sort through them. And I want to show you guys what I'm doing, because all hope is not lost for your tomatoes when you have to pull them. There are things you can do with green tomatoes. And then also, like, I have some tomatoes. Let me see if I can find one. Like this cherry tomato. It's not quite ripe. Still has a little way to go. But I can leave it on the counter, just out in the open air, and it will continue to ripen. So anything that is ripe or looks like this one's ripe, look at how pretty that is. Like, it's gorgeous. These ones taste really good. Some of these are ripe. You can see that I pulled some off just straight on the stem. It's a little easier when you're trying to do like a mass harvest like that. But now I'm going to pull off the ripe one and set it aside. And then these puppies are going to get set aside with all of my green tomatoes. So we're going to be making several green tomato recipes. I actually was on Pinterest all night last night, was looking up all these recipes, trying to figure out what I can do with all of these green tomatoes, because I have a ton. Okay, maybe not a ton, but probably like 50 pounds. So, like, all of these are green. I'm kind of just separating everything out now, looking at everything, seeing if I'm seeing any signs of ripeness. Let me show you here what I'm looking for, okay? So this tomato here has a little bit of like yellowing and some coloration coming in or near the stem. So that's actually going to sit on the counter. These kind of have that as well. I've got a little bit of color coming in that's not just green. So those are all going to hang out, sit on the counter. These are actually getting pretty close to ripening too. I think these are the blue creamberry cherry tomatoes, which I grew so many tomatoes. These, I'm pretty sure, are the green zebras. This one looks like it might ripen, so I'm going to leave that one out just in case. We'll see what happens. But I'm just kind of separating these out, and then I'm going to just let them sit on the counter, and hopefully in a week or two I'll have tons of ripe tomatoes to either can or cook with, or even just for fresh eating. I do admit that I prefer my fresh eating tomatoes like pretty much directly off the vine. There's nothing better, in my opinion, than popping a warm, like sun-warmed tomato into your mouth straight off the plant. Like, it is super amazing. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm looking for any fruit that has split or has gotten squished or is just not really appetizing. Like this guy here, look at, it's super flat. So I'm just kind of going through and sorting out. And then what I'm going to do with the green tomatoes is I actually found some really neat recipes. I'm going to make a salsa verde out of the green tomatoes. I also found a recipe for like a green enchilada sauce. And I don't know about you guys, but I love Mexican food. Like, it is seriously my favorite cuisine. If I had to pick one kind of food to survive off of for the rest of my days, it would be Mexican food. So the salsa and the enchilada sauce are right up my alley for that. Another thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm planning on making some fried green tomatoes, because who doesn't love fried green tomatoes, right? I mean, they're delicious. And then I'm also thinking about making some tomato bread. You'll process it, grate it up like you would a zucchini for zucchini bread. And then you cook it up with chocolate, and it's supposed to be tasty and delicious and taste just like zucchini bread. So, of course, I have to try this, right? I mean, like, I'd be a fool not to. I have to see if it actually is as delicious as they say it is. So, that's something I'm planning on doing as well. And then I'm also thinking about trying to pickle some of these guys. And I'm thinking about doing like a ferment with the pickling. So I have some jars and I have some weights, and I'm going to try to show you guys that process as well. Today though is just about getting these guys sorted out, making sure they're nice and clean and that they're dry and there's not a lot of moisture around them. Anything that I have that's ripe, like this guy right here is pretty ripe. I'm actually thinking about making a fresh tomato salsa or even a fresh tomato pasta with all of my tomatoes. And yes, you can even use cherry tomatoes for that. One of the nice things about using cherry tomatoes is it will impart a sweetness into your dish. So it'll give another layer of flavor, another, you know, depth of flavor that you wouldn't get maybe with just a sauce tomato. So, I mean, if you've seen that hack on TikTok where you take the cherry tomatoes with the feta cheese block and you roast it all together, then you mix it up and make a pasta sauce out of it, that is some seriously good eats, guys. And part of the reason why it's good eats is because it uses those cherry tomatoes that are a little sweeter. So don't be afraid to use your cherry tomatoes in a pasta sauce. Even if you're canning, like even if you're just gonna can some sauce, use your tomatoes, all of your tomatoes, and you'll find that like the flavors that meld together from all of them will give you a sauce that will just blow your mind. These are super, super sweet, and they're some of my favorites. I think that they're either the Sunrise Bumblebee or the Isis Candy Cherry. But I'm actually going to pop the sucker in my mouth right now. As someone who historically has not liked tomatoes, I don't think you guys understand the gravity of what I just did. I put a fresh tomato in my mouth and I enjoyed it. That's not typical for me, okay? Just so y'all know, this is not a normal pre-homestead behavior for Amanda. I've always kind of tolerated tomatoes at best, but like I've never really been a huge tomato fan by any stretch of the imagination. So for me to have grown tomatoes that I actually like, that I will actually eat off of the plant, is huge. I mean, just like massively huge. So, try something new, even if you think you're not going to like it. I figured the worst thing that was going to happen is my neighbors and my friends were all going to get a bunch of tomatoes, because if I didn't like them and my family wasn't going to eat them, I wasn't going to let them go to waste. And at the absolute worst, if they didn't find new homes and I couldn't get rid of them, they would have just become compost. So never be like, oh, I don't like that, I don't want that. You know, I'm not a big tomato fan, I'm not a big vegetable fan. What you find in the grocery store is not going to be the same as what you grow in your garden. Every single variety of tomatoes that I planted this year, I never heard of before. And I know you guys have heard me say that like 77 times now. You're probably a little tired of it, and I'm very sorry. But it blows my mind that there are even 22 varieties of tomatoes that I had never even heard of. And honestly, there are way more than 22 varieties that I never heard of. There's still a half a catalog that I didn't order. And those are just from one catalog. That's not to mention people who are, you know, genetically crossing different plants to create new hybrids, which is something that people do. So if you're a little confused about terminology, an heirloom tomato, which would be, you know, tomato like this one, or like this one, like you might see at the farmer's market. This one has a little bit of like cat facing. And it's not a bad tomato. It just, I'm going to have to cut around those areas. So these are all heirloom varieties. I didn't grow any hybrids this year. And what a hybrid is, these are like true. So I would have to pollinate these with, they would have to be pollinated by themselves or by another like same variety of tomato in order to stay true to the heirloom variety. But what happens is when you have your tomatoes in close contact with other tomatoes, or you purposefully cross-pollinate, is you get a hybrid. And a hybrid will breed true. And what that means is if I was to save seed from any of these tomatoes, which you want to only save seed from ripened tomatoes, so I might not be saving very many seeds this year. But if I were to save seeds from these tomatoes, I'm actually going to get a lot of hybrid crosses. I'm going to get a lot of seeds that are not, you know, the sunrise bumblebee seeds will probably not be sunrise bumblebee again. It will be a hybrid of sunrise bumblebee and something else, because I planted my tomatoes close. They were in close proximity. And I think you have to plant varieties at least 500 feet apart in order for them to not cross-pollinate. I don't have 500 feet of yard to plant them away from each other in. So what I do is I just plant them, and, you know, maybe I'll just get a really cool variety. I would not sell seeds that I save from my tomatoes. I would wait and see, you know, what it grows. I wouldn't like harvest tomato seeds and then try to sell them to somebody the next year. I would see what that hybrid did, and if it was a hybrid I liked, then I could save seeds from that hybrid and then potentially sell those. And that is what some people do. They will have a hybrid, and they might not necessarily always know what it's crossed with, but it creates a new tomato that has desirable qualities that they want to sell. So do not think that all hybrids are bad. I personally went with heirloom varieties because I loved the variety of different kinds of tomatoes. I loved the possibility of seeing what kinds of cool tomatoes might come out of a hybrid, you know, an accidental hybrid. And there's nothing wrong with just going to your local Walmart even and buying seeds, or your Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree sells seeds, guys. I actually got some seeds from the Dollar Tree this year. They were mostly flower seeds that I actually wound up not planting, unfortunately. Next year, though, flower garden is happening, guys. Hold me to it, please, because I need some flowers in my life. I have decided this. but just get seeds wherever you can. Sorry about that, guys. Troy decided to come into the kitchen, didn't realize I was recording, but he's getting his coffee now, so he's good. Right, Troy?
Yep, yep.
So, like I was saying, I'm excited to see what some of the crosses that are going to come of these tomatoes will be. So, if I can, I am going to try to save some seeds. But it's also not my highest priority this year. I'm more worried about trying to make sure that this gets preserved and that we have some really cool things to eat this fall and winter. My chickens kind of decimated my garden this year, guys. I mean, they ate all my ripe tomatoes. Almost all of my ripe tomatoes they got into and devoured. I'm glad they enjoyed them, but I was hoping to enjoy some of them too, and that didn't happen. But there is always next year, and I did learn quite a few things, and I'm going to try to peacefully coexist in next year's garden with the chickens. I'm going to try to plan the garden so that if the chickens get in after my seedlings are started and well established, that it won't be the end of the world. This year, I mean, it wasn't really the end of the world either, but I also did not have the yields that I was hoping for, at least not in the fresh produce. Obviously, I have plenty of yield with green tomatoes, but I also did learn some other things that I did wrong. I didn't space out my plants enough. They didn't have enough airflow. I didn't prune soon enough. And all of these things, I watched these YouTube videos and everybody was telling me that this is the right way to do this. And I really did, to follow all of that advice because it's all very good advice. Unfortunately, I dropped the ball on a couple things, and I was like, oh, it'll be no big deal. I'll still get tomatoes. And then, I mean, I did. I got a lot of green tomatoes, and I did have some fresh tomatoes. I don't want to sit here and tell you guys I didn't have any, because I definitely did. But there was not the amount I was hoping for. I was hoping to can lots of tomato sauce and salsa, and I will still can salsa. It just won't be the salsa I had planned. But, you know, that's okay. Sometimes you just have to roll with the punches and do what you can with what you've got. So, and now I know better and I can do better next year, and I know that I'm going to have a successful garden next year. I'm super excited to go ahead and apply the things that I've learned so that I have a ton of food for the family next year. And that's my dream, you know, to just have a very productive garden. I would love to be able to share with others. We've talked about maybe having a stand at the farmer's market next year. After the way things went this year, I'm a little hesitant to do that for actual like growing the food, but I'm also thinking about maybe going to the farmer's market with some plant starts next year. Because I found out I'm actually really good at starting seeds, at least for tomatoes. And I know that those are a little bit more forgiving than some other varieties. But I purposefully did that this year. Tomatoes are the only thing I started from seed, with the exception of some things I direct sowed into the garden. But I started the tomatoes inside and got them going with grow light and germination mats. And I did great. Almost like everything germinated. I only lost a couple of varieties. And there were some varieties that didn't do as well as others, and I think that they just didn't like the way that I dealt with them, maybe. So I know a little bit better for next year with that too. But I am just about through this round of tomatoes. So I think I'm gonna hop off of here and focus on getting all of these sorted out and setting aside these beautiful tomatoes so that they can ripen, or that they can get ready to become some of the things that I've mentioned today. I hope you all have a beautiful day. I hope you all have something in your day today that brings you joy and happiness, and that brings a smile to your face. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.